So, such a pleasure to be here with David and DK. David, I want to start with you. You and your wife, Donna, have been involved philanthropically with a lot of organizations, both in the U.S. and abroad. Tell us what attracted you to Opportunity's approach to poverty alleviation, specifically in Nicaragua.
Yeah, I'll answer it a couple ways. One, what attracted us to Opportunity? I think once we got exposed to Opportunity and heard a little bit about kind of the world statistics that, maybe 2/3 of the world's population lives on $4 a day or less. You hear that statistic and you see the people in the field, and it's hard to leave that alone. It's hard not to try to do something. Without doing something, you just feel like there's a big hole in the gospel, in your gospel. And then why this approach? Well, we think that poverty is complex, and there are a lot of components as to why people are in poverty, and to really get them out of poverty, to move the needle, it takes a holistic approach. And it means it's about jobs, but it's also about holistic transformation, which includes social transformation. It includes spiritual transformation. It requires a lot of partnerships to do that. And ultimately, we feel like the goal is for flourishing. It's not just to survive, a little bit like the crisis chronic. We think there's a time to help people survive, but there's also the goal needs to be flourishing. And we think it takes a holistic model for individuals to flourish, and that's what we're trying to do in Nicaragua.
So let's break that down. Can you start out talking about the approach to economic improvement, this idea that there are business solutions to poverty? Talk about that.
And just, if you heard Bob Lupton earlier, and a corollary of what he would say would be, you really cannot serve the poor out of poverty. And they do need economic development, they do need jobs, and so first and foremost, we are focused on economic development, which means job creation. And again, if the goal is flourishing, we feel like we need to do, in addition to the micro lending, there needs to be small, medium enterprise development, SME development, to address what some people call the missing middle. More permanent jobs, more stable employment, stable income, better paying jobs, and the like. And that creates the need for investment, not just lending, to create real businesses that have a lot of stability to them. And so, again, going back to the flourishing, it requires. And so the two industries we've decided to focus on in Nicaragua through our research and looking at what the assets of the land and the people are, is we're focused on agriculture and on tourism. And we think those are great growth industries, and our strategies revolve around that.
Great, thanks. And DK, this strategy, I want you to focus a little bit with our limited time on the agriculture. David mentioned the business solutions around tourism and agriculture, but let's zero in on agriculture right now. Tell us a little bit about what drew you to Opportunity, number one, if you can do that briefly. And then tell us about the agricultural approach and particularly how that impacts our clients, that kind of.
I think for me, I have always had a heart for business. I love the art of the deal, the negotiation, and it was a point in my career where I just realized that I had also felt the motivation to serve, and I had felt that calling. And so after being in Peru and having a textile business and seeing poverty firsthand, and trying to understand what could be done, I realized that we had to invest in poor in their potential. And so just the Lord laid it on my heart to search for a job where I could work and use business development skills and an entrepreneurial spirit to do international development. And that was about the same time when I was able to meet David Allman and Geraldine and learn about the project in Nicaragua. And I've been on the ground since 2010. Mm-hmm. And so when we talk about agriculture, as David mentioned, it's one of the leading industries in the country, and it's just exciting to see what can happen when you look at rural development and you focus on business solutions. These farmers, the people living in these rural areas, having access to loans, having access to capacity building, training, this gives them a great hand up in their ability to generate income. And if you can combine that with access to market and value chain services, whether it's logistics, seeds, transportation, or access to a processing plant, you can give them an opportunity to generate higher income, to expand their area, and to have more employment take place as a result of that. And so when you start looking at what the market looks for, what are they asking? We see that they want collaborative supply chains. They want to have partnerships in the area as opposed to importing materials from afar. And so we just took that and looked for the opportunities, and in this case, yucca was a clear winner because you could take the product and you could wax it for export, or you could use the secondary products and sell them in local markets as we've done with Cargill.
Mm-hmm. So you've talked about a whole slew of things right there. Investing in agricultural financing, technical assistance, access to markets, processing, all sorts of things. Bring that down to us. Can you give us a story of a particular farmer, just to make it concrete for people? What's the impact of investing in an agricultural value chain, yucca? And just take that down to an actual client for us. What's been the results?
You can take a farmer like Lizeth. Lizeth is a farmer that has about 2 acres of land. She farms a number of crops, and so we help her get to market both her yucca and her hibiscus. And in doing so, she's been able to duplicate her production and increase the area, and she's also doubled her income, and she used that extra money not only to invest in her kids' education, but she's also started a pig program. And as a result of that program, we've taken that knowledge and helped other women in that same community, and now we've given over 140 loans to pigs.
To pigs?
Sorry, to
4
farmers,
pigs.
4 pigs. Sorry, one distinction.
So, just very, very quickly, just say another sentence or two about what a pig program is.
That's right. So when they have the farm and access to market, and that's our strategy, it's a field-to-market strategy, and by providing the loans, the technical assistance, and the access to the processing plant, they're able to get more income quicker. You know, it's really about cash flow when you look at it. And when these farmers have access to higher value markets, and they're not selling their products sack by sack at the local market, they can take that cash and invest it. And so whether it's an investment in their house, in the education for their kids, or in a pig program to fatten the pigs and sell the pigs, it's different ways of having them generate more income and then also employ the people in their communities.
And I have to tell you, I'm from Minnesota. My family are all farmers, and I don't care if you're a farmer in Nicaragua or a farmer in Minnesota. It's terrible when you are susceptible to the incredible commodity fluctuation prices, right? So the fact that we're investing in ways that they can process their crops and not just be beholden to that buyer's market, but in fact process it into whether it's a waxed yucca or flour. DK's now moved us into selling yucca flour, extracting starch and selling starch products to buyers. Suddenly, the stabilization of the farmers are something that's long-term, scalable, and sustainable. It's really powerful. So that's a little bit about the economic impact. But David, I want to go back to you if I can. You started out your comments talking about how this was a holistic model. So beyond the economics, talk to us about that. What do you mean when you say that?
Well, I don't think we're created as economic beings only, or even foremost. Certainly, that's the greatest felt need of the poor, but we're also created as spiritual beings. We're created as social beings in relationship and community. And so if the goal is human flourishing, I think you have to have solutions that address each of those components. So when we talk about community, we talk about infrastructure projects. It can be education, it can be water, it can be healthcare, it can be housing, roads, etc. We also talk about leadership development. It's important, we think, as you know, our role as facilitators is to develop local leaders, help develop local leaders so that they not only become competent to solve their own problems, but also that they become aspirational for their communities. Small successes in bringing people together allows them to basically bridge gaps that occur in all society, whether those are religious gaps, whether that's political gaps, gender gaps, age gaps, et cetera, just like we might see in our own country. They're very real with the poor, who are by and large isolated a lot. So community projects, in addition to providing a greater good for the community where the benefits are broadly experienced, it also helps to develop leadership. And really, we do call upon a lot of partnerships. With our role as an outsider, as a facilitator, we think it's very important to foster as many partnerships, bring in best-in-class experts who do water, who do healthcare, do whatever, and leverage that into these communities so that over time, not only you develop them economically, but through chaplains and through partnerships that they develop, relationships are reconciled, neighbor is relating well to neighbor, and the institutions, a lot of change can only happen at a community level. We talk about schools, healthcare. These are typically community infrastructure or community institutions. Churches would fall into that are part of the community infrastructure, and so it goes beyond the individual or even beyond the family if you want to have a complete flourishing.
And just to piggyback on that, one of the things that we talk about with all of our staff and our clients, and is come directly from our board leadership, is that when we think about flourishing, imagine if the shalom of God was present everywhere we worked. And that's something, that vision, that promise is something that we really share. And in shalom, when you look at the biblical interpretation, it's about harmony and unity and peace. And so think about that grace. And that is a compelling image for our clients. And so we've witnessed in Nicaragua where communist and pro-democratic leaders work together for the first time under an opportunity project, or Catholics and evangelicals, which there's a huge chasm there between them. And so I want to turn it to DK, because I asked DK to bring some photos and talk to us a little bit about what that actually looks like. And so can I turn it to you, DK?
Get the presentation up. So guys, you can see right here a situation that to me is just near and dear to my heart. It was the first project I saw when I joined. And as you can see, it's an impassable road, and there's the community standing in front of it. Now, as specific as this is to Nicaragua, this reality is across the globe.
Yeah.
The needs that we can see of all rural areas in these developing worlds is just evident. And so you look at that and you think, how can these guys take on that kind of a problem? And so I think what makes this work so unique is that it's transformational and holistic in the sense that we're working with the people and their potential. It's giving them a hand up rather than a hand out. And so when you see a problem like this, as intimidating as it is, there are solutions. And so by looking at what they have, the assets around them, they're able to harness that good together collectively and create that change. And this is a great example. These are some of the lead farmers in the nucleus and the Pacific South of Nicaragua. They're huddled around their yucca that's going to the market, and you can see by their faces that they're excited about their ability to take care of their own needs. And so by working with them and their potential and starting with that rather than starting with the need, we're able to make progress in those communities, or I should say they're able to make progress. And we can look at how that happens. It's through the investments that are put in place. You can see in that upper top corner, there's a small processing plant in the operation, as you saw in the video. It's very simple equipment. There's an investment that was put in to understand the demand in the marketplace to help work with the farmers to get their product to market. And as we've gone from that position a couple of years ago to now, you can see the new structure going in where we're building the country's first SQF food certified plant, where we're going from helping a couple of hundred farmers to over 1,000 farmers, where we're going from a couple of $100,000 in revenue to millions of dollars in revenue. And this is what makes this model special, is we're leveraging what they already have. We're just creating the opportunities and facilitating the business solutions necessary for the community to take care of themselves. And so if you do that and also focus on education, and healthcare and other community activities where they have a sense of urgency, then you can help transform that community. And so I want to show you this picture here. You can see some of our students in the bottom corner. They were working with the chickens. And so we believe that if you really want to create jobs and you really want to prepare the next generation, you have to invest in education. But if you want to do it in a way that accelerates that exit from poverty, then help them have the tools not only in the classroom, but in real-world experience. And so this is a learn-by-doing model where the kids go to school and spend half the time in the classroom, and then the other half of the time they're working in the businesses. And so as David mentioned, you've got agriculture and tourism. So you'll see here that we've got agricultural businesses that are now covering 50% of the cost of operating the school. And we're pleased to say that come January of 2016, there will be a hotel that you can see opening up right there on the rim of a volcano overlooking Laguna Pollo next to Granada, Nicaragua. And these function as engines for change. These allow the students to have a participatory effort, an internship, and real businesses that are leading and moving the country. And then also that income from those businesses go to cover the cost of operations. And so when you talk about what does holistic change look like, we see this as the next step in how to leverage financial services, training, capital, and investments. And so I'd like to share with you one more thing. You see our community leadership. You see the faces there, some of them that you might have recognized from the video. And you talk about that road. How can people like this find the solutions? And if you help them, empower them, and give them the tools to succeed, then these things become possible. They were able to fix that road through collaborations with the government, through funding and use of their own sweat equity to dig the trenches, put in the necessary foundations in those critical points, and fix a road 7.5 kilometers long. Now, I don't know about you, but this to me is transformation, seeing the collaboration between the community, between the NGO, financial services, the market, and the government to create change.
Thanks, DK. Just as a wrap-up question, I want David, if you'll take 30 seconds, half a minute. Tell us what you see as the, where is this going? Where is this model going? What's the future, and what does it mean for us?
Well, I think from a client point of view, as we've talked about, we want these farmers to be middle-class farmers, not subsistence farmers. If you look at the students at the school, we want them to be employable upon graduation. We want our hospitality students to be regarded as the best hires in the country in the tourism business. We want our agricultural students to be ready to start their own farm, go into the family farm, make it better, go into the ag business, and we've already got a few that want to go into the university. We want our leaders to be competent. We want them to be hopeful about the future. We want them to be reconciled to their neighbors. We want to have multiple partnerships that are creating to the health in both at the individual level and at the community level. I think from a program level, we want to see this expand throughout Nicaragua, which is on the horizon. Our board and our leadership believe very much in the strength of a model, and we think this model has legs to go elsewhere, and we certainly want it to be sustainable, but we also think it can do a lot in other parts of the world.
Great, good. Thank you both for your work and leadership on this. Let's give them a hand. Thank you.